Well, a strange thing happened on the way to episode 5 of Peacemaker. The show is getting better and better, and this one is probably the best of the batch. And even some of my complaints about it, I'm beginning to think we're premature here. There's even this, the business of just initially jumping to anything about complaints about deep state or whatever is immediate racism. It ends up being a mockery of the idea through vigilante. So, oh well, maybe I better backtrack on that one. But it was the whole episode is hilarious. Of course, the eagle still steals the show. That's just what you got to do. It's an eagle, and stuff like that. But just everything clicks and works through the story, and the main interaction is between Peacemaker and Leota, Amanda Waller's daughter, and all of that, and that's actually being handled far more interesting. You could have said that it's just checking off the boxes. And I guess superficially it does, but they actually give her depth and all this, because you're seeing that she's a much nicer person than her mother, but she still has she's shown that she inherits her ability to manipulate people and moving around. But and she's portraying Peacemaker in this episode. Even after bonding with him even closer, she likes him and they're getting along and all this stuff, despite all his problems. And but she still has to betray him because on orders from her mother, and all this sort of stuff. And what is her mother's ultimate agenda? And does she know everything that's going on? They're an off-the-books organization. They're not really working for the government because they can't trust anyone in the government because of the butterflies who have been slowly invading the earth. So this blows up in a big battle at this factory where they take on a bunch of butterflies and what have you. And it's it's just brutal. It's within keeping of the whole thing. So it's just really good, and I'm dancing around it. I'm not going to spoil everything. And the battle takes a turn for the worse for our heroes because it involves, a creature, I'll just say, which was alluded to in the previous episode, and I thought this was going to be a nod to a classic DC villain, but I guess not. Maybe they could involve that later. I don't know, but I guess basically the butterflies can take over other creatures and animals and whatnot besides human beings, and so on and so forth. So they're moving right along with their overall plot, and they've got their different players going on. There's the deal with Peacemaker's father, who almost gets out and then gets bamboozled because they need him to stick, because the real masterminds here need to keep him there. And then that's leading the investigators into looking into what's this about, and so it's all going to kind of blow up eventually. But this also sets up, because he's convinced his son is at the heart of getting him in trouble and all this, so he's going to seek revenge against him. So I'm guessing there's going to be a battle between Peacemaker and the White Dragon. In the meantime, I managed to look up on, because I had read Peacemaker, some of the Peacemaker comics, the original one from Carlton and whatnot, but the DC Comics version, I thought, it'd probably be somewhat of a continuation of that, but no. I read the first issue that they had produced of a miniseries of Peacemaker way back when in the late 80s, and he's batshit crazy. Not like they're doing it here. I mean, it's funny because, I mean, the way that it's set up to be a serious take on it, I guess, but he's crazier in the comics than he is with the way they have John Cena. But John Cena's character, he's messed up and whatnot, and it's understandable. His father was horrible and all that. But at the same time, it's more he's a bit of an idiot, you know. And but it reflects the comic book version, because the comic book version has it that he's the son of a Nazi war criminal, and but his father committed suicide when he was found out and was about to get arrested and whatnot, and so it was a scandal for the family and whatnot, and his mother tried to protect him and all that, but it broke Peacemaker Chris Smith. His original name was Chris Smith. So that's the deal with that. And of course, this was back in the 80s, so it's the idea of the timeline of how it would have fit. It wouldn't really work today because too many years and all that. So it's somewhat understandable that you just change that to where it's this white nationalist guy. That's his dad, and he's not dead. But in the comic book, his father's voice haunts him, and he talks to him because he's crazy, and he's obsessed with being a peacemaker and being this sort of Captain America type guy going on these missions to make amends for his father's evil and all that. So it's what's driving him, but it's completely crushed his mind in this story. So I don't know. It's almost like that's so over the top. It maybe, I don't know if it was intended. It certainly didn't seem to be intended to be funny, but it's just the way it was presented in the comic. And so because I was thinking like, well, they're making up stuff and stretching far removed from the source material. And of course, this was a DC Comics reboot of the character at the time when they had purchased those characters from the defunct Carlton. And I guess they went with this. I guess they just thought, well, we can't have him be exactly like Captain America or whatever. Maybe that was who knows? I'll have to look into it, So I'm like, well, I guess James Gunn wasn't too far afield from this. It's the DC version of the character, so, but anyway. But it's all good. Yeah, this was a really good episode. And so the show has legs, and apparently there's already word they're going to do another season. And apparently James Gunn wants to do yet another spinoff from Suicide Squad. I don't know which other characters he would want to center on. Hopefully Weasel. It would be cool if Weasel could make an appearance if they teamed them up in Peacemaker. Yeah. But it didn't happen that way. But hey, there's still time, So, yeah, I was dubious of the show. I still think the earlier episodes are weaker in comparison to this one. But little by little, better. It's still better than Boba Fett, which managed to actually, their 5th episode is really good. But of course, it's a Mandalorian episode. Peacemaker still beats Boba Fett. Overall, and yeah, I think this is looking to be quite special, and could lead to other things, provided they don't screw up. Well, it sounds like they want to screw up the DCEU. Just have to forget about the dumb crap and just stick to what was good. That's kind of how it works. With the DCEU, some of it sucks and some of it's pretty good, so that's just the way it is. But anyway, yeah, looking pretty good. So we'll see what happens next week on Peacemaker. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.